Hello, everyone. It's Dana here from ResearchWorks podcast. It is such a pleasure to be here. We're at EACD and IAACD in Heidelberg 2025. And this is the highly anticipated summary podcast where I've now spoken to 29 people. So 29 episodes. Let that sink in. I'm sure that's filling your feed. And there have been some common threads and themes, and I want to discuss it with you. If you want to start somewhere, maybe start with this episode, and then you can go back and find the ones that you really wanted to look at. But I would say listen to all of them. I'm biased. It was absolutely incredible. So to help me to sort of maybe, help me to conceptualize all the thoughts and make sure that we can implement it in different settings, I have two of my colleagues here. If you've come to the podcast, you would have seen them with us, helping us to set things up, but also hopefully you've had a chat with them as well. So over here, I'm on the video, just in case people are wondering who I'm pointing to, on the YouTube channel, Dr. Corinne Walmsley. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to have you on the microphone. And then to my right here, I have Matthew Haddon.
Hello, good to be here. Thanks very much.
All right, so we have now had a full week here. We were part of the pre-conference workshop in the most beautiful setting of Melbourne, and now at the main Congress Centre. Everyone's sort of packing up now. We're just soldiering on and continuing with this episode. Let's start by saying from your perspective, I mean, the theme of this podcast was, the theme of this whole conference was developing networks and networks for development. Just in a nutshell, Corinne, what has this experience been like for you to be at conference? Because it's your first EACD.
Yeah, it is. Look, it's been absolutely incredible to meet people who you would usually see on articles and research papers, and meeting them in person has been, truly amazing.
It's pretty surreal sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been, So it's been really nice to meet everyone, put faces to their names, and also just talk to them about what they've been doing and how they're implementing that in their practice as well.
That's so really great. Good. And that's the spirit of it, right? That's those developing networks. Now we've got to keep those networks.
Absolutely.
Matt, or Matthew, I'll call you Matt. That's so weird. What has been your main sort of experience for that, if you were to sum it up in a nutshell?
Yeah, I think it's been incredible to see all of these really experienced researchers and clinicians actually just be so interested in each other's work, like all being on the same team, all moving forwards to provide the best care for the children and families that we work with. So, so many people being interested in the work that we do and just having a really wonderful two-way conversation and building connections and relationships and networks that way has been incredible.
That's fabulous, isn't it? And that really is the spirit of this whole conference. It's about collaboration and partnerships and networks rather than competition. You don't even get that sense here that everyone wants to work together. So Matt, your background is a physiotherapist, so that's going to be the lens I think you'll bring to this. And Corinne, you've got a bit of a dual role, occupational therapist and research coordinator. So as we walk through this, it'll be really interesting to hear your perspectives. But for context for everyone as well, I think it's worthwhile saying that this conference had more than 1,000 presentations from represented by over 80 countries. And Rainer Blank, Sebastian Schroeder, Christian Schaaf, Rosalind Boyd, Christine Imms, and their entire teams have put together the most incredible program. Yes, very jam-packed. But I think the idea is to there's something for everyone. And the idea is to connect with each other about that. One of the things that I think came through really strongly through all of this entire conference was the value of implementation. And implementation feels like it's the next step. I remember Alicia Spittle saying in the previous podcast, we have a lot of knowledge. We actually just have to do it. And we have been really challenged by that, thinking about what else we can do as an organization, as Healthy Strides, supporting ResearchWorks podcast, and then came up with the crazy idea to follow through on all the requests that people have been asking and putting forward for more resources and courses. So we're also here to launch for the very first time the ResearchWorks Academy. Now, the ResearchWorks Academy is what we've been showing everyone. We've actually run out of cards, haven't we, Matt?
Yeah.
We've got none left. We had this whole stack thinking, well, I'm not sure we're going to get through it, but it'll be a great challenge.
Yes.
ResearchWorks Academy, I'll go through in a bit of a nutshell, but it'd be great to talk to these guys about it. It's a digital platform. It's been designed by clinicians for clinicians. There is a forum where you can register and talk with other researchers and clinicians. There's also an online platform for resources and outcomes and clinical decision trees. And then there's also a whole bunch of courses you're going to be able to engage in. And all of that is free for the next 2 months. Get in there, enjoy it, see what you think about it, and make sure you give us some feedback about it. But it's going to be hopefully a really great resource on how we can implement. Matt, you're the coordinator of the whole academy and has been instrumental in helping to set things up and provide information. What is it about the academy that is, out of all the features, this is the hard one, that is the standout feature? Maybe it'll be a top 3, but start with your first one. Let's go with that one. That was tough. I don't even know what my top 1 would be.
Yeah. Oh, it is tough. It is tough. It's really cool. I think so many clinicians and researchers are stuck for time, and so I love things that help to save time.
Yeah.
One of my favourite features is the goal attainment scaling template. It's an editable, auto-populating template that has a range of different skill domains that you can input and set your baseline variables and basically click auto-populate and it'll fill the gas out. You can auto-progress which variables you like and then edit it as well. Put the child's name in there, customize it from the base templates that it provides, and then save it as a PDF, reassess it post-intervention. Yeah. That's a really cool feature. Another one is the article chat feature. Instead of
fit in the second feature there.
But sorry, yeah. If you just get top 3. So
I started one.
The article chat feature sort of links with the outcome measure hub and the practice guidelines and consensus statements, which all basically save you from having to search through databases yourself and try to Google for what the most recent research or evidence is in different areas.
Out there as well. If you Google it, this is better than Google.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just puts it into one place for you. So you can search by keyword search or by population or by the sort of assessment domain that you may be interested in outcomes for. And it just puts it there, saves you time, and it puts it in a really user-friendly and easy to access way.
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? Like we all have access to AI now, and you can go in there and look for stuff, but it's often uncurated, and we have curated as everything there. So everything that we've spoken about on the podcast, articles we've looked at, influential papers, we've popped them in there. So you don't have to read everything. You can just ask the chat, and it'll give you the reference. And Bob's your uncle? I don't know where that phrase came from.
Something Australian, probably.
Something very Australian. Anyone else tell me whether that's something you've ever heard of before? But it is a great feature, isn't it? Yeah. Corin,
yes.
What would be a feature that really stands out for you on the Academy?
Look, I think the whole concept of the Academy is incredible. I think from a research and clinical perspective, I really like the outcome measures hub.
Yeah.
Often in research and clinical practice, you're trying to measure the outcomes of children, for the example, their walk tests or things like that.
Yeah.
And you need a central hub to be able to find that information.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that we've spoken to find it really confusing to be able to go different places and find that information. Whereas it seems it's been really useful in terms of having it in one location.
It is really fantastic, isn't it? Because outcome measures, as we hear throughout the conference, is so vital. If we don't have good outcome measures, we can't measure the effect of an intervention. So you can't show one is better than the other in direct clinical care. So outcome measures are for everyone, and this has got a great search function. Definitely have a look at that. What's my favourite feature? Oh, thanks for asking, everyone.
Do tell us, Dana. Yeah.
Mine would have to be the machine learning 2D gate app.
Yeah.
It is inbuilt into the whole system. You can use it on your phone. Like, technology's come a long way. It's markerless. Yeah. You can upload a video that you've taken or take it live, do it live, select the angles you want to look at, and you can analyze it in great detail. It gives you graphs. It is so incredible to use that. And if you use that with the clinical decision trees that we've got as well for gate classification, you've got tools right there. You don't have to keep going back to articles and find it. So look, we're obviously talking about our favourite parts of it. There's a lot there. We really do encourage you to have a look. Like I said, we did this because everyone kept asking for it. So have a look, researchworks.academy. There's QR codes that you can use. We've given out lots of cards, like I said, but you can all just head there yourself, register. It is completely free. We're taking feedback. And after the 2-month testing phase and it becomes launched more widespread, it is just a small fee of just $10 US a month. And that just allows us to keep the website going, making sure we can keep updating it, and that will be available for you for as long as you need it. So that implementation part, don't you reckon when you heard it in the conference, I just kept thinking, oh, yes, you can use this. You can use this.
Absolutely.
Do you reckon?
And all the key researchers who want to share their knowledge and their skills and their expertise to have that platform to put their resources and their tools on, as well as the courses that will help to share that knowledge with the clinical community.
Oh, gosh, that was great. Yeah, so many of the researchers, people presenting symposiums, they want to put all their courses up on the academy as well, so everyone can have access to it, get micro-credentialed, get a certificate, move forward. And
that's
I think
the beauty of the collaboration, right? And that's what this whole conference is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I thought now from that, there's always been some common threads through any conference. And I want to start by talking about the F words. There is this whole group of my favorite people who were dressed in F words, shirts and dresses. If you went on our Instagram, you would have seen we were video bombed by the incomparable Ginny Pallig. But the passion about F words has resonated through this entire conference. Some people might not call it F words, but it's F words, right? And Hercules Lecce presented about the F words lens, and I thought that's what we should do. Let's look at the F words that apply from this conference for the families, the people that we work with, people with lived experience, and the F words for us. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about the F words for you as clinicians and researchers moving forward. So the first one, I'm going to start with fun, because I feel like fun was a great place to start. For our kids, I would like to say it is exciting now that researchers are really pushing forward the fact that let's go, hey, body structure and function, important, but not the starting point. Participation and quality of life are absolute key, because we all want to live a fulfilling life. Corin, for you, for family, for fun, what does that look like in practice?
Oh, look, I think it's incredibly important for our kids to be having fun. We don't want kids coming to us and crying and being upset.
Yeah.
It's the motivation and fun that's where the magic really, really happens for these kids.
Yeah.
And really important to embed that in our practice.
Because that is quality of life, right? We don't do therapy to be good at therapy, and that has come through so much in all of the talks. Matt, when it comes to fun, as us as clinicians and researchers, I often think about how is it that we learn, and to reflect upon that for how we are teaching our kids what they need to do.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a neuronal level, we know what those key drivers of neuroplasticity are, and that child-initiated movement, that motivation, that volition to do a particular task, you need to have a motivating factor for that. And, you know, if I want to go to the gym, I've got to have some motivating factor to get me to do that. And for a child, it's finding really what makes them tick, what gives them that drive, that desire to move over there, or to lift that particular toy up to work towards that activity. So it's everything. I think without that, you're looking at sort of menial tasks that have no meaning or salience to the child.
Yeah. And I think that really resonated through Professor Stacey Dusein's presentation, Early Intervention. She really looks at play, and play being the absolute medium. And instead of looking at brands, there's this whole push to go, hey, let's stop looking at brands and names of interventions. You know, you've got Bobath, Voita, DMI, CME. You've got all these names and brands people ascribe to, and there's this real pull to go, let's not do that, because you sit in these camps. Rather, let's look at the active ingredients, and in play, the question that she posed for us as therapists are we actually truly playing? Are we actually giving the child the opportunity to want to do something and enjoy the toy, rather than us using a toy as bait? Which, when she said that, I thought, oh, okay, I think I've done that before, where I've gone, hey, come to this side, and they do, and you go, well done, let's go to the next side now. Right.
So it's just giving them opportunity to play. And sometimes that takes investment from therapists as well, to find out what toys kids actually really enjoy.
It takes time, doesn't it?
It takes time, And that's okay as well, to take that time to find what motivates the child.
Absolutely. And then that moves all the way through into adulthood. And we've been talking a lot about that transition from childhood to young adulthood, and the need for children to learn to advocate for themselves. And that starts from early days of play and making choices. So it's really important, hey?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so fun. Let's be less body structure and function. Yes, it's important, but it's not where we start. Participation and quality of life. Christine Eames made that so clear. The next one was family. Gosh, people with lived experience here, families, parents. I've had the richest conversations here. Deborah Clayson from Denmark. How passionate is she? So lived experience we've heard a lot about. One thing that resonated in the last keynote that we went to as well was about lifting and caregiver. Burden's the wrong word, but the amount of effort that it does take to move.
Yeah.
What did you take home from that?
Yeah, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Hearing Deborah's questions and comments towards the end as a parent. She was making the point of, it is starting in school as well, and it's getting those early interactions and those early movements to be able to continue that later in life as well.
And the value of working on really fundamental skills, that is sit to stand, transfers, because that makes the biggest difference, and the value of then task-specific strengthening motor learning. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Oh, absolutely. And I really love the point that was made in that conversation around involving families in that training, not just so families and teachers and that whole environment around the child to support them to really be more independent, to function and to be able to have that participation in a range of different contexts. So something like transitioning from sitting to standing to allow them to bathe or toilet more independently, or transition into a standing frame or a walking frame, supportive walking device in the school environment.
And that's constantly coming back to listening to those voices. And the part for me about family that has resonated through this entire conference as well, particularly centered on lower middle income countries, I would say. Kath Benfer, Beatrice de Vries, they were talking a lot about in lower resource settings, you're more creative, but how do you make things work? It is about partnerships and collaborations and relationships. And they made the distinction between what often happens in high-income countries. There's this real need to sort of have this professional boundary. Like, I can ask you all these personal questions about you and your family, and then I'm not going to tell you anything about me. And we've got to be careful about boundaries, but relationships are built on a two-way system. And certainly the work we presented, what we do in Malaysia, that's taken 15 years to develop relationships. And then there's trust. So when it comes to families, it's more than an interview at the beginning of a program or a session, isn't it, Corinne?
Oh, absolutely. The parents and families are key in everything that we do and underpin everything. And they are the ones that carry it on at home and advocate for their children as well. And I think it's important for us as therapists working clinically to have that advocacy as well and help them feel comfortable with that, because it's really important.
And the less about us, more about them, not coming to something with your own preconceived idea of what this should look like. And being really open to being truly directed by families, which can be hard in reality and practice, doesn't it? But you do need to, you've got to see your role differently as a therapist.
Sure. I think I'm always amazed about the ideas that families can come up with to find a solution towards their child's goal or their participation or whatever it is they want to work towards. And there were some beautiful examples during the conference of videos, some low and middle income countries and resources and settings with less resources where families were just using things from their home, from their environment, very low cost to support a child in their growth and their development and in their participation. And that's wonderful. I think we need to support families to be given the autonomy to come up with these ideas themselves so that we can learn from them as therapists and we can help to shape and support working towards goals.
It's those relationships again. It comes back to that, doesn't it? And trusting each other and building that plan together. Function I'm going to go through really quickly because I feel like it's linked to so many things. We spoke to Diane Damiano about the chaired session that she did for intensive therapy. And Habitul is obviously a big thing that's been presented. We spoke to Yannick Blaenhoff about that, starting infants, toddlers. The outcomes are looking really great. But Diane did also challenge us to kind of go, there are a lot of features in there too. So we need to be thinking about, different kind of models as well. Certainly in our service, we're an intensive therapy provider, but ours is 3 times a week, just 1-hour sessions over 6 weeks, which looks more at not only motor learning, but also rest and recovery from a fitness perspective. And Diane really sort of was looking at going, well, think about, is it motor control you're looking at, or is it strength and fitness because they're both different and the intensity might look different, but there's still huge value in intensive therapy to get those bursts of skills. But the key is, how does this translate beyond the program and how does it look like in real life? We do a few things to make sure that it extends beyond just the 6 weeks, don't we? What are some of the practical things that you do as an OT?
Absolutely. I think definitely from this conference, one of the key things is taking it into the natural environment and how are we doing that?
Like
and
playgrounds?
Yes, like playgrounds. I guess one way is our Participate app, which I have presented here, which was really well received by a lot of people, allowing kids around Perth to access playgrounds that are accessible.
Yeah.
So that's just one way we do it. We incorporate a lot more into our therapy sessions as well, added scaffolding to increase stimuli, cognitive load, all of that, what kids would really need in their natural environment.
Yeah, that's so true. And I love how you said that, and the Playground app did get a lot of interest. We've developed it for our context, but really encourage people to look at that for their context because it does look different. Co-op was a really big part of what's come through as well from a function perspective too, wasn't it? It's that coaching element that we're seeing in low and middle income countries. You can provide sessions in just, 10 weeks, 1 hour sessions, being responsible for really minimal resources. Doesn't matter where you are. What was a standout for you I know I'm clumping co-op and coaching here, but there are similarities, right? It's about that approach that's very hands-off, a bit new to us as therapists. Yeah,
it's such an interesting area because I think as therapists, you always feel like you need to be doing something, but this co-op approach and these coaching approaches really almost put the ball in the court of the child or the individual or the family and say, hey, let's support you to figure out how you can achieve that goal, how you can work towards it. And that's a beautiful thing. I think it builds capacity, it builds that sense of independence and self-confidence so that these individuals can go through this evaluative process of checking, you're setting the goals, checking it, reevaluating, practicing, and continuing from there. It's a wonderful thing.
Principles are incredible, aren't they? And you think about, I don't play sport. I run. These guys both play sports, so it's a bit embarrassing for me. But, how they learn those sports, they don't have someone physically teaching you how to serve. I'd probably need that help to start off with, to be honest. I wouldn't have a clue. But the idea is you have a coach. And what has been coming through from here so much is it's more about commentating for the person, scaffolding it to their level, of course, but getting them to learn and develop those own strategies. Now, Jill Zwicker's work and
fantastic,
the MRIs
wasn't it?
she was showing, connectivity's improving.
And even some of the pre and post interventions that she was showing on the videos were incredible.
Yeah. Her work just demonstrates that you can do co-op in children under 5 without having to touch them. You can. And you can do it all through childhood, adolescence, and they're looking at adults now. How amazing is that? So I think there's so much we can grab from that. And there's been a lot of conversations about dosage and affordability. And I kind of go, we need to be so much more thoughtful about what kind of interventions we're providing that are the most efficient and the most effective for translation to real life. Otherwise, we all have limited resources, time and money.
Yes.
And I felt like that really came through. Don't you reckon? Yeah. So I think that resonates with that one. Fitness. I said I wasn't going to spend too long on function. That was funny, wasn't it? I'm sorry.
Hard
fitness. It's because I was preparing for fitness, which I could talk till the cows come home. But fitness, obviously, Mark Peterson's keynote, so central. My thought about that is I'm going to combine it with future, is we need to stop thinking about just my conversation with Anna Carolina de Campos was literally that. It's like, I would always say that I'm a pediatric physiotherapist, but now I think I'm just going to call myself a physiotherapist. Because they grow up. And if I don't think about future and what that means from a fitness perspective, I don't think I'm doing my job. I felt very challenged by that. Fitness from an occupational therapist perspective is actually really relevant.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Fitness underpins everything that we do, right?
Yeah, it does.
Whether that's endurance and being able to do the skills. So incredibly.
And we need to think about those participation opportunities, like through the app, where can we break down barriers, the environmental and context barriers, so that people can stay active for as long as possible, but starting early. I know you presented some work on the 10-meter walk test, and I'd presented some stuff on the 6-minute walk test. We can make changes here, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And particularly thinking about that population of individuals functioning within GMFCS levels 4 and 5, whether it's children or young adults, those individuals are so infrequently included in activity-based interventions, and let alone being researched. And it's, we've seen clinically meaningful changes in the 10-meter walk test and in the 6-minute walk test. We've also looked into the goal attainment scaling and the COPM for those more participation-related outcomes. And it'd just be so amazing to look into that in the future and explore, what is the impact of these types of interventions? Yes, on walking speed and endurance and goal performance and attainment, but also on health, on participation, on these kind of larger quality of life measures that people tell us individually that they really enjoy getting up and they get moving, and their families love it and see these range of benefits. So it's an exciting area to look in towards.
It really is, isn't it? Especially when you're linking it with a future perspective. And I always love my chats with Sebastian Dianiti, and I feel like I want to say his name so much because I can say it now from Shirley Ryan. He's the muscle guy, and he's looking at macrophages. And I think I said it wrong, but I'm going to go with it. And, we've got people in all areas of research looking at the molecular structures, which actually would have a significant impact on rest and recovery and planning ahead for why certain children might respond to strength training versus not. I mean, that is significant from a fitness perspective. The only thing I would like to say about future, because I was going to clump them together, was I would say genetics. That has come forefront. I've never had so many genetics talks before in my life. How exciting is the world of genetics right now?
So exciting.
Right?
Very, very,
It is a field that is rapidly evolving and developing. I think there's been so many lessons that have been learned from SMA. They can't all translate to other settings, but we now have something that we can base it on, because now we're seeing kids, we see them in our clinic, SMA, that are mobile, walking to their classrooms and learning how to do skills we've never had to teach a child with SMA before. I mean, that is incredible, right? But what's been really linked to that has been learning healthcare systems. There's a lot of talk in genetics about we can't use traditional strategies for research because we can't get that dosage, but we have a learning healthcare system using patient-reported outcomes where we can communicate with each other and keep developing these personalised techniques. And to me, that's a really exciting field. And I know that Wade Schrader just reported on some orthopedic future directions. What was a take home for you there, Matt?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think there's the really orthopedic specific things that are interesting, but also go a little bit above my head in terms of, 3D printed surgical planning models that they can implement within their
so clever.
Their surgeries. Yeah. But I was really interested about the mention of perhaps smart orthotics. Can there be an AFO that allows for some degree of flex and pliability during stairs, so that there's an essential functional dorsiflexion while descending stairs, but then stays rigid and strong during overground walking, so that this child, say with spastic diplegia, bilateral cerebral palsy, doesn't sink into crouch into adolescence. And that's amazing. What a great thought. And
where
somebody can figure that out. That's amazing. And with AI and machine learning, I think
they're definite buzzwords, aren't they? It's definitely there.
Exciting.
The final one is friends. And I wanted to finish there because friends encapsulate so much what we've been talking about, that transition from childhood to adulthood. We talked about that with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, that challenge of a young person wanting to be more independent, yet needing more support physically as they get older. A very important area of research. I've never heard so much about this transition before. Anna Carolina de Campos as well, talking about educational opportunities and young people. This was a great point she made. We have all been taught that education is so important for us, and that sets us up for our future. And so many young people that she met have not got great educational experiences to how they set up for the future. Like that, I think, is very confronting. What we're going to try to do at home is to set up a community hub. Start it from 15, not at 18, not at 19 or 20. Start it early and provide a community where we can help that transition process.
Which is so exciting and so needed.
Do you reckon? Speak to it, I'm like, oh my God, we've got to do this.
I think this has highlighted it more than ever for us. the importance of helping families transition into that period, because it's a scary period for them. They've known the hospital system and the pediatric system for so long, and all of a sudden, I think someone in one of their talks said, at the click of a finger, it's done, and you're moving into the next transition. And if we can help them transition into that phase, then that's what it's all about.
So important.
Yeah.
A bit of a nerdy one for both of you. When it comes to friends, I mean, I love coming. I've just seen so many of my friends, like-minded, from all parts of the world.
Yeah.
I am challenged. I'm willing to be challenged. I have loved the networking. But I've seen that you guys have had some gush moments meeting some pretty incredible people. Now, we're going to name names. So what has been the one that's you've gone, oh, my gosh, I got to meet you? Matt.
Naming names.
I think we're going to have very similar ones, to be honest. Yeah.
Can I have two? Is that okay?
Oh, start with one. Let's see.
Okay.
And I'll see.
Okay.
So stuck.
I had a wonderful time getting to meet and talk with Ina Novak in Melbourne in the pre-conference workshops. And she's just absolutely lovely and really just wanted to talk. And we had a really good chat coming to and from and prepping for the podcast and for the
true
recording.
Leaders of our field, and they're so generous with their time, aren't they? It just shows, right? Okay,
Absolutely.
I'll stay with the one for now.
I don't think I can name names. I think that it's just been everyone. And everyone has been so nice, but also like offering their advice.
Yeah.
Like we've had people talk to us. I mean, one of Matt and I's questions to people is like, do you ever get less nervous when you present? And so many people have given us like these pearls of wisdom before we have gone on to do our presentations as well. And that's, for them to give that their time and their effort to just give us those informations. I think that's really special.
Yeah, look, I mean, it is hard to name names, isn't it? But I would say, like, even from that perspective, what Iona Novak has done for the field has shaped the way we do our practice. There's no doubt about that. Where we are right now is because of people like her and her entire team. Like, this is never without the entire team. But it takes someone to lead it and to be brave and move forward. Take the criticisms, take the encouragement, but keep moving forward. And yeah, she is truly incredible, but there are just some amazing people here that will keep building for everyone. So where I want to finish off here is something that Christian Schaff said right at the beginning. And he said to me, when it comes to genetics, there's going to be some really challenging thoughts that'll be coming forward because with more technology, we're going to be faced with things that we've never seen before. And certainly from a genetics perspective, I can see how that can happen. But I would also say for our entire field, I would ask the same question that he has asked. He goes, how are you positioned? And he said it was really important for him to be positioned, to know how he's positioned as he enters this field so he knows what he can be, how he can advocate. And I think that is so important. And I keep thinking, okay, how am I positioned? And you come to a conference like this and you realize, okay, how am I positioned? 100% family-centered. I can do better. I can be better with how I play. I can do so much better with empowering families and children by being more hands-off and using co-op and coaching. I can speak up a whole lot more because, as the family said, their frustration is not knowing what to do and the time has passed and you said I could have done that. They see on social media how powerful things might be, but if no one's saying anything, it takes bravery. It takes courage, but my goodness, it's important. So how are you positioned? And I suppose my message for everyone from this podcast, from this conference, is maybe to ask yourself, how are you positioned? What is it that you stand for? What are you willing to really put yourself out there for? And what are the things that you really don't want to see more of because it's time to move the field forward and the future is really bright if we can think about how we're positioned. So that's my final thought. And I hope for everyone listening, I hope you've enjoyed this series as much as I have. We've never put out so much content before, so we will take a bit of a break. Enjoy the 30 episodes. Matt and Corin, thank you so much for being part of this experience, your first EACD, helping us to launch the ResearchWorks Academy as well, and for presenting so much work. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's been wonderful.
It's been so nice to do this as a team, and ultimately, that's what this is all about. So to everyone listening, thank you for your support. I have been overwhelmed with how many people have come up and Everyone's been asking about Ash. Ash is at home, but she will come to one of these very soon. And we've been keeping her up to date. She's been jealously going, oh my gosh, I wish I was there. But thank you. And we'll talk to you all again really soon.